We have learned new details tonight about the man police say is responsible for a deadly attack against the U.S. military in Tennessee. What investigators are saying about his past.
I want to find him. I keep hoping for God to show me a miracle.
A man talks about the frantic search for his son who went missing during flash floods in Johnson County.
Investigators are trying to figure out why a small plane ended up in a southern Kentucky lake tonight.
Tracking, alerting, protecting. This is WKYT News at 11.
Good evening. What led to a deadly attack targeting the U.S. military? And tonight, we're learning more about the man police say killed 4 Marines and injured 3 other people during shootings in Tennessee today.
Police say the gunman fired shots at 2 military facilities in Chattanooga. He was later killed by police. Kenneth Craig has the latest details in the investigation. It's our top story at 11.
Witnesses say a lone gunman in a silver Mustang convertible drove up to this Chattanooga Armed Forces recruiting office and opened fire. A Navy sailor was injured. The shooter reappeared minutes later at a training facility 7 miles away, where he rammed his car through a gate and killed 4 Marines and injured 2 others. The gunman, identified as 24-year-old Muhammad Yosef Abdulaziz, died in a shootout with police.
They arrived on the scene extremely quickly, and they actively and enthusiastically engaged this brazen criminal.
Authorities swarmed Abdulaziz's home within hours. The FBI says the shooter, a naturalized U.S. citizen, was born in Kuwait but lived here with his family in the Chattanooga area. So far, they don't know why he targeted the military in his assault.
We'll look at his friends, families, associates, anybody who is associated with him to determine the cause or the reason why he conducted this attack.
People visiting a makeshift memorial tried to make sense of the tragedy.
The message is simple. Why would you hurt your own protectors?
Officials say Abdulaziz was not on any U.S. terror list, and the FBI was not aware of any terrorist leanings. Kenneth Craig, CBS News, Chattanooga, Tennessee.
The Department of Defense has increased security at some federal facilities as a precaution. Leaders of the Bluegrass Army Depot in Madison County say they were told to continue their normal protocol, but to remain vigilant.
It is heartbreaking. Tonight, the search continues for a man who has not been seen since devastating flash floods hit Johnson County back on Monday. Police say that 34-year-old Scott Johnson is the only person confirmed to be missing at this point. Some others are unaccounted for, but police think they may be just out of touch with friends and family. 3 people died in the flooding, including Johnson's grandmother, 74-year-old Willa Pennington, along with 22-year-old Richard Blair and 56-year-old Herman May. New tonight, Johnson's father talked about the heartbreaking search. Garrett Weimer joins us from the live desk with more. Garrett.
This week, so many in Johnson County have lost so much. But perhaps none more so than Kevin Johnson. His mother was killed in Monday's flooding. His son is still missing. So 3 days later, he's still searching.
He told me, he said, Dad, I stopped in to help you.
Kevin Johnson hasn't seen his son Scott since Monday, the night of the flood.
You know, the water swept me off my feet, and my brother swept him off his feet, and Scott, he went on, and he looked back at us, and he said, I'm getting my nana out of the trailer.
Johnson says Scott did get his nana and a child out of the trailer, but that's when he ran into trouble.
He caught onto a little tree there, and they said he hung there for probably 10, 15, 20 minutes, I'm not sure. And he was doing good, hanging on to him.
While they were hanging on, Johnson says his trailer broke loose, sweeping straight toward them.
He was going to stay with them to the end, and he did. They found my mother probably 3 miles from where that happened.
The child was rescued that night. Johnson's mother, Willa May Pennington, was found dead on Tuesday. Scott is still missing.
I want to find him. I keep hoping for God to show me a miracle and find him alive, but I realize that probably ain't going to happen.
For a man who lost so much so quickly, Johnson says it's his faith that keeps him going. At the live desk, Garrett Weimer, WKYT.
Garrett, thank you. A story of a hero. And tonight, we're also hearing stories of survival out of Johnson County. Marilyn Stombaugh says that she and her family were inside their home as the water quickly rose Monday night. At one point, it was getting close to the ceiling, and her family could not escape.
There were no way. It was moving too fast. If you'd have got out, you'd have went with it. And I said, if I'm going to die, I'll die here. I don't want to be there. They won't find you.
She says her son knocked a hole in the ceiling, and the family used that to breathe. After 30 minutes, she says the water went down and they were able to leave the home. The home has extensive damage, but Stombaugh plans to rebuild.
The country music duo Sunday Best is planning a concert to help Johnson County flood victims. The concert is scheduled for 7 Wednesday night at Johnson Central High School. Admission is free, but organizers are asking for donations at the gate. All of those donations will go to people affected by the flooding. WKYT and the American Red Cross are joining forces to show victims of this week's flood that Kentucky cares. Friday will be a day of giving. Red Cross volunteers will take donations over the phone from noon until 6:30 here at WKYT tomorrow. It is our way to help those who lost their homes or were impacted by the floods. The last few days have been dry, which is just what we needed. So can we make it 3 in a row? Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey has an early look at the forecast. Say it so.
Yeah, most of tomorrow looks to be on the dry side, though the steamy air that is on the way to central and eastern Kentucky, Amber, will likely fire up at least an isolated shower or thunderstorm. Here's a look at where the heat and humidity currently located across the Mississippi Valley, and it is eastbound and down heading into the bluegrass state of Kentucky over the next couple of days. Low pressure that is working its way into the Great Lakes. Big thunderstorm cluster there. Instead of watching that roll in here tonight and tomorrow like what we had earlier this week, we're watching the steamy temperatures that are surging in from the southwest. Temperatures tomorrow morning when you wake up, mainly upper 60s across most of central and eastern Kentucky. Noontime already close to where we were today for those afternoon highs into the low 80s. And as we fast forward through tomorrow afternoon, a lot of upper 80s will begin to show up, maybe the occasional 90 out there, especially the farther west that we go. But the humidity levels tomorrow will make those upper 80s feel a whole lot hotter than what your car thermometer or your back porch thermometer will show. And again, some isolated thunderstorms out there tomorrow too. Focus the forecast on the sweat index. It is taking off as we go into the weekend. We'll track that and the potential for some boomers just ahead.
All right, Chris, thank you. It was a strange sight for people at a southern Kentucky lake tonight. A small plane ended up in the water. Investigators say it made an uncontrolled landing.
It happened on Laurel Lake, not far from Holly Bay Marina. As bad as the crash looked, investigators say the pilot was not seriously injured. New at 11, Monique Blair has the latest from Laurel County.
We've seen a plane down.
Around 6:30 Thursday night, the pilot of this small plane was trying to land on Laurel Lake when officials say he struck a log in the water, forcing him to crash the plane.
It was sinking, so the guy said that he was okay, but he had hit a log when he was trying to land. And so he was, shook up, but he's lucky to be alive. And
I'm told the pilot was the only person in this plane when it landed on Laurel Lake, and it's called an amphibious plane, and that means it can land on land or it can also land on water. The pilot was able to walk away without any injuries, but I'm told landing planes on Laurel Lake is against the law, and now the pilot may face charges.
It is illegal. You cannot land on a body of water regulated by the Corps of Engineers or the U.S. Forest Service.
Several people, including Paul Taylor, were on the lake when the plane crashed, and they helped the pilot tow the plane to shore.
And he'd got on that pontoon boat, and so we just got the ropes and stretched him out to keep the plane from sinking. So it was definitely going down.
In Laurel County, Monique Blair, WKYT.
Investigators say the pilot built that plane. They say it now has significant damage.
New tonight, an event set up by an organization with the message that a Lexington Park can be safe for families. Last month, 5 people were shot during a basketball game at Douglas Park. One of them later died. Since then, questions have been raised about the park's safety. But tonight, the We Care organization set up a family movie night. Organizers say they want Douglas Park to be a safe place for everyone.
With the incident that happened several weeks in this park, it brought back some negative effects, but now we want to take our park back. And because the park didn't do anything to us.
Along with a showing of the movie Annie, tonight's event also featured food and games for families. Another movie night will be held at the park next Thursday. New tonight, a golden alert has been issued for a missing Russell County man. Jamestown police say 57-year-old James Polston was reported missing yesterday. They say he suffers from severely high blood pressure, which requires daily medication. Police haven't released any details about where and when Polston was last seen.
Nearly 3 years after a deadly attack at a Colorado movie theater, the man charged in the case has been found guilty.
This afternoon, a jury convicted James Holmes of murder. He could now face the death penalty. In 2012, Holmes killed 12 people and injured 70 others during a showing of a Batman movie in Aurora, Colorado. The verdict came after a trial that lasted nearly 3 months. Survivors of the attack say the jury made the right decision.
I just can't even describe it. It's just relief. It's just like, it's just good. It's just closure. It's finally over.
The jury will return to court next Wednesday to begin the sentencing phase. Holmes will either be sentenced to death or given a life sentence without the possibility of parole.
Today, President Obama became the first sitting U.S. president to visit the inside of a federal prison. It was part of a push to change the country's justice system. The president visited the El Reno Correctional Facility in Oklahoma. He wants to overhaul the country's criminal justice system by reducing the number of nonviolent inmates in jail. Republicans have proposed a number of measures to reform the system, including boosting investment in post-prison work programs.
New tonight, a grand jury has indicted a man charged in connection to a deadly hit-and-run in Scott County that killed a cyclist. Our news partners at the Herald Leader report Odilon Paz Salvador has been indicted on murder, wanton endangerment, and leaving the scene of an accident charges. He's being held on $500,000 bond. Police say in May, Salvador hit and killed Mark Hinkle, who was riding in the Horsey 100 at the time. Police say Salvador, who's from Mexico, did not have a license. Tonight, we have learned a man accused of shooting another man in Nicholasville has a violent past. Nicholasville police charged Carlos Taylor with attempted murder after they say he shot Calvin Livers yesterday. In 2010, Lexington police charged Taylor with murder after the death of a man on Larkin Road. A year later, Taylor was convicted of reckless homicide after his lawyers claimed he was acting in self-defense. He was released from prison in 2012 after getting credits for good behavior and time served.
Salvation Army leaders say they're having a problem with thieves in Richmond. Surveillance video shows some of the thefts at the organization's drop box. The Salvation Army says that during the 4th of July weekend, 8 people drove up to the drop box and took clothes, computers, chairs, desks, and other items. Those items would have been sold in the Salvation Army store to help other people.
It may have been a few $100s, but those few $100s go a long way with helping somebody with rent and utility assistance, or helping somebody else have some clothes that they might not have had.
The Salvation Army spokesman says incidents like this have happened before, but nothing of this magnitude.
It is well known around the country, and we have learned Pottery Barn plans to open its first Lexington store. The Herald Leader reports Pottery Barn will open in the Summit at Fritz Farm, a development now under construction near the intersection of Nicholasville Road and Man o' War. Whole Foods also plans to move to the development, which will also include restaurants, a hotel, and apartments. The first stores at the Summit will open next year.
A Kentucky horse park worker turns 89 today, and for one of his gifts, he was honored as a Kentucky Colonel. Eugene Carter has been working with racehorses as an exercise rider for more than 70 years. His career in racing takes him even all the way back to the famous horse Man o' War. Carter says he credits his health and his faith in God and staying active.
This is one of the top things in my life. I never had anything like this happen before in my life about this, you know. But, you know, I've been working around horses all my life, but I never have been recognized like this before. And I really appreciate it.
You deserve it. And he's not working at the horse park. Carter also works at Keeneland during the fall meet. He looks and sounds great for any age, but 89 as well.
He also happens to be the grandfather of our photojournalist Darnell Crenshaw.
I had no idea.
He is very proud of that man.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.